Welcome to a very different and COVID-secure turf business question time here at the iconic Belfry, the stage of so many historic Ryder Cup memories. We have a panel here in the studio, collectively looking like a low-rent boy band, I think, guys. So I'll give you Turf That. And Robbie's already left. Gentlemen, if you'd just like to introduce yourselves, please.
Yeah, I'm Gary Barlow, I'd say, but Gary Barwell, head groundsman, Edgbaston Stadium.
Lee, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Lee Marshall Say from Eton College.
And we're also joined by a virtual panel, very safe in their variety of locations. If I can bring the virtual panel in. So if we can start with James, if you'd just like to introduce yourself.
I'm James Fennessy, Stevenage Football Club.
Paul.
From Royal St George's Golf Club.
Andy.
I'm Andy Gray, I'm from St George's Park with the FA.
Danny.
I'm Danny Negus and I'm grounds manager for Devonshire Park Tennis Centre.
And Craig.
I'm Craig Both. I'm the links superintendent at Carousely Golf Links.
Okay. We also have our specially invited audience joining us via Zoom from wherever they are. I think if we're going to bring a few of them up on the screen. Hi guys, good morning. Looking a bit like Britain's Least Wanted there, I think, but we'll move on, I think, from that, and we'll go straight into our first question. We're getting our questions virtually as well. So if I can hand over to Stuart Kerrison. Good morning, Stuart.
Hi, Martin. You all right?
Good man. I'm good, man. Thank you very much. Would you like to throw your first question out to the panel then, please?
Okay, with the current climate, is this an opportunity for our industry to reset with regards to diversity and make it an attractive prospect for education leavers, as we're hearing how there'll be a lost generation of kids due to loss of learning time?
James Fennessy, I think you've also got kind of quite a strong opinion on this. I don't know if you wanted to pick that one up, James?
So yeah, off the back of that, a question that I'll ask is what incentives can we hope to give young up-and-coming ground staff to stay within the industry for longer when pay scales and further opportunities become limited midway through their careers? It seems as though ground staff hit a wall where pay increases slow down and promotions slow down or stop, and then leave the industry to progress themselves further. To me, and with what I do personally here, it seems a shame to invest so much time and effort in training young ground staff to a high level, only for them to leave the industry when they potentially have so much more to offer.
Paul Larson, is this something that is similar in the golf side of things, or is this purely from the groundsman side of things?
It's a very good question, actually. We trained 4 apprentices up in the last 6 years, and you're right, they get to a certain level, they get the same pay as a qualified greenkeeper after a few years. So after 5 years, they probably know reasonable amount of the job. It seems in our industry, it's focused on getting people trained up to be a head greenkeeper. Then the trouble is, there's not that many jobs for a head greenkeeper out there. And that's when they become, you've got to kind of either keep them active in the role that they're in and vary their roles so that they get to do all sorts of jobs, and you hope that that's enough for them, that they can get progression up the ladder in time. But if you can't, because not everyone wants to be a head greenkeeper, they actually like doing the job. But you're right, it comes down to wanting to get a mortgage, pay. And you know what, a lot of guys are leaving to go landscaping, stuff like that. So they do chase the money in time. So it's an issue that no one's come up with the answer yet so far.
Gary, I mean, I think the question from Stuart really was, what could we do? Is there a chance for a reset? Is this now an opportunity because of COVID that there's going to be more of a workforce there to tap into?
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you, listening to what everybody's had to say there in Stuart's question, reset is something you've heard it a lot through COVID, and I think at the moment, it's been quite tough. People are being furloughed in every industry. I think it is a good opportunity to restock. I think it is a good opportunity to have a look at what you've got around you. I've got a really good staff at Edgbaston. We're fortunate that we haven't lost anybody during COVID at the moment. But I think our chance now is to sort of reevaluate of how we get people into the industry. You know, I've been working in cricket since 1993. You know, I've had a good career. You know, I've worked hard to get that, like a lot of people probably on the wall that's behind me and, you know, they're listening. And I think if we promote the industry in the right way and show what people can gain from the industry rather than, you know, we all work long hours in the summer. It's like, you know, years ago you used to watch BBC, ITV and the viewing figures were high. Now you've got a selection of what you can do. My daughter, you know, is at 15 now. She can go and do any job she wants to, and that's great. But actually, we're competing against other industries, and I think when you're competing, you've got to show what you can gain from it. I've been lucky enough, like a lot of people say, is, you know, you've seen a lot of good things in my career. You know, I've worked my way high. I do agree with that there's a ceiling point. So maybe it's time we sort of work together as an industry and put a structure in place. Stop the ceiling points if we can. It's always going to be there because the position you hold has to have a pay, but you know, you are competing against, you know, I know people that have left the industry to go to work at Audi because they've got better money. Yeah. But is that a better way of life? So I think they're the things you've got to compete with. I think, but the start is you go to colleges and, you know, career days and promote what we do, get the people out there that really love this job. I mean, I love my job. I would happily go into a school when COVID's obviously gone and promote what we do, and I'm quite proud of that. So I think that's what we need to do, the positive. Everything at the moment should always be positive. COVID's a lot of negative, but actually we need to promote the positive of what we do, not the long hours, not sometimes the low pay, but actually the good things that happen. You know, say I'm in my mid-40s now, and I can honestly say I've not done a proper day's work all my life because I just love what I do. So they're the things I think we need to promote to kids leaving school. Sometimes it's not all about the qualifications. They're the things we sort of need to look at, I think.
Okay, I think there's possibly a danger with more people looking for work, that there's not going to be any investment in raising those salary levels, James. Danny, you work for essentially a local council. You've got a world-class tennis tournament that you bring most years, not this year. Are you finding, with the work that you've done with Plumpton College, that there's an enthusiastic workforce out there, or are people just not coming to the college either?
I think, to summarise very, very quickly, I think the guys have actually hit on it. Everyone's looking for what that glamour position is, and the incentives, unfortunately, are financially driven in the early stages. Our industry is renowned. It has tiers. The top tier seems to be well supported, and as you filter down, it drops drastically. And I think we've got to look at how we can attract people, and Gary's already said about making it accessible to the youngsters, because there has to be a point where people understand it is your quality of life. It's not just money. And it's probably something we all take for granted. We all like what we're doing, but we don't sell it. I don't say at the moment through colleges, do I see a dip in enthusiasm? No, I don't. I'm going to be perfectly honest and say I don't think it's been strong for a number of years. You get the odd lad come through that you think great, but as a general, I don't think there's masses of enthusiasm.
Okay. James, has any of that addressed your fears, or you got anything else you'd like to ask or add?
No, I mean, from a personal point of view, I seem to be in a rare catchment area where it's predominantly young lads. They come to me. I don't even need to put adverts out. I have no fear locally about people coming into the industry. It's how do I convince them when they ask me the questions about their future? How do I convince them to stay within? But like the lads have said, we've got to do more. We're trying to do that with pay scales and try and drive that up. It's going to be harder with COVID, but we do have to try.
Craig, is it the same case up there in Scotland? I know you're part of the same union at the moment, and I guess you face some of the same problems, but do you have these same issues?
Yeah, it's the same issue. You know, we struggle to get youngsters from schools. Just and it is about, we need to promote ourselves a bit more. I don't think we've done that well in the past. Myself, I've gone into schools, our local high school, and tried to encourage youngsters into greenkeeping, but they're all following their mates or their older brother or sister into different jobs. You know, something that pays a bit more attractive. We need to be pushing ourselves as it's all about having a quality of life and working outside and things like that. You know, we need to be pushing that more.
Andy, you've spent your career pretty much working in, first top flight football, first for Southampton and now with the FA in England. You've probably got, for football fans, a more attractive proposition. Do you have the same issues though?
Yeah, I just think, as everyone was just talking, I'm just thinking myself about that. It's surprising that how many people come into it not because of the football. To be fair, back in 1998, that was why I started it, because football was my life and that was a route working in the game. But I'm quite surprised at how many people aren't like that. Some don't like football at all. Some it is a job. Some like at the outdoors. Some like the actual, the industry, the horticulture side of it. So there's all different sides of it. But again, as I've been sitting there listening to everybody else, I keep seeing programs on TV of like celebrity programs, and I have no idea who these people are. And I get told by my wife and kids that they're famous because they've been in another reality TV show. And I can't help but think that that's the generation that we are these days, that younger people, don't honestly realise that they have to work for a living. They think that they can just be famous and earn loads of money by being on TV, etc., and just being a celebrity. So we're obviously from a different generation that wasn't the case. So I think, again, what Gary said about selling it to people, that's dead right, as well, focusing on the positives. But it is a generational thing. I do think, on the whole, we do have the odd person coming through that from my time at Southampton that is good, but most, unfortunately, is just a job. And it is a tricky one to take forward and change. But I honestly don't really think that, and whatever job youngsters are in these days, the odd one will have a general interest in it to succeed, but otherwise it is because they have to do something, unfortunately.
Martin, I'll just butt in there. I was at a careers convention at high school, and I would say maybe about 50 or 60% of the kids there wanted to be a YouTuber when they grow up.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get a job doing that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what my kids are like.
Can I add to that? That's the general consensus amongst the youngsters. And I've actually gone and talked to the youngsters. When you said earlier we should try and get them from college or whatever, it has to be earlier. It has to be at the schools. I know Craig goes into the schools, but I asked all the kids, the youngsters, what is it about greenkeeping? Did you know about greenkeeping? Did you even know greenkeeping existed? And they would go, no, I have no idea. I'd go and play golf, but I didn't know what greenkeeper did. Unless you can get the schools to promote horticulture, gardening, outdoor pursuits, they all want to go and be famous for being famous on YouTube. It seems like that's the way they want to go. They're into IT, technology. It's quite hard to get in grassroots. When you said, is COVID changing this? Maybe. I see loads of kids going out for walks, looking at what we're doing when they're in lockdown and going, do you know what? This isn't so bad. So you've got to kind of nab them while they're really young. But when I talk to the older apprentices and they go, we still don't like working all weathers, the rain, all the rest of it. You get a few, but they have to work weekends, they have to work bank holidays. So a lot of people, that's not attractive at a young age. When they get older and they finish with all that, I tend to recruit, or easier to recruit, older guys that want to use their life better and have a job they enjoy more, but they can do it because they've got the money to do it. Whereas the youngsters need the money, want to enjoy their social time as well. So it's it seems to be very difficult to get a few. You can get them, but you really got to work hard to get them.
Lee, Stuart's original point was, is this a chance for a reset?
Well, yes, it's an opportunity to reset, but as all the guys have said and echoed it, how you go about getting people into the industry is a difficult one, and promoting it as well. I mean, I look back when I first joined, I trained to become a groundsman. If it wasn't in the college brochure, it would never have happened. People still do go to college, people still have jobs and other things, but I look at it going, well, if that full-time course wasn't available, then I wouldn't be here now. Now, a lot of the courses when you go to college are generally one-day courses and you have to have a job. And most kids looking, if their dad or grandfather hasn't been in the industry, and not going to know looking where to go for that job. So I think selling our industry has got to be done better. I do wonder whether colleges can help with that, on top of other organisations, whether that's bigger than GMA, and getting early in schools has got to be to try and sell the job. I mean, you know, I go to football and the first thing you do is want to go and look at the pitch.
Yeah.
Now, I can't be the only one that wants to see the green pitch that the player's going to be playing on. So you sort of think, well, how do you go about promoting that one, and how you can do that? Working in a school, we've got plenty of variety that you can work on, whether it's cricket, football, rugby. Is that a selling point to some people, where you can come, learn what you want to become, maybe a master in, before you go off to another sport? Who knows? But yeah.
Stuart, you posed the question. Has that given you any food for thought? I don't think it's given you an answer.
Yeah, well, it seems to be image is a major part of the problem, it does, Martin. I mean, part of the question was about diversity, really, about getting women into the game, getting, not on the game, women into the game, and BME, you know, people, you know, we're being told we need to get more representation. Now, how do we get these people involved in it?
I think that's going to be one that rumbles on, I think, and we probably don't have enough time to cover that anymore today, but it's certainly something we'll pick up through Turf Business, and we'll continue to discuss it when we get around to having a full-on summit, whenever that might be, given COVID. Okay. Thanks for your response on that, guys, and thank you very much, Stuart.